I've been taking a very serious look tonight at the new fight that's coming up for the new USA budget, and I'm going to tell you, this don't look good. Uh, it says the EPA is hit hardest as Trump's budget targets regulations. It says Trump's budget plan is proposing major cuts for the State Department, EPA. Trump's budget takes an axe to transit. Says Trump's federal budget would eliminate dozens of agencies. Trump takes axe to environment and foreign policy. Trump boosts military spending in his first budget. Trump's budget blueprint faces heavy opposition. U.S. State Department braces for steep budget cuts, slashing. So what we see here is there's a lot of opposition to the new budget. And not opposition by just the Democrats, but opposition, there's going to be heavy opposition by the Tea Party caucus. The thing is what we're looking at is a big fight coming up, much bigger than I thought. And this whole thing could get really problematic, to say the least, because euphoria has been pervasive in the stock market ever since the election. I'll call this irrational exuberance in the stock market. These investors, they're overlooking the risk of a U.S. government default. And myself, I have to say, in the last couple weeks before I'm doing this research, I have been a little bit complacent about the risk myself. And the reason for this is because every time they've hit this budget limit before, it's always been a lot of talk, and then they go ahead and raise it every time. And so it tends to get you into this assumption that that's what they're going to do every single time, that they're just going to be a lot of talk, they're going to come up against the wall, and then they're going to raise it, because that's what they always do. But this time, now that I'm looking at this is different this time. This isn't the same as other times. This is particularly different. They have an opening cash balance this month of $189 billion. The Treasury right now is burning through an average of $2 billion each and every day. When that money runs out, the United States will go into default, make no mistake about it. And they haven't even begun to argue over this new thing that they got here. Republicans control 237 seats in the House, but the Tea Party wing of the party controls a lot of seats there, and they're not going to go along with a lot of this stuff. They're already having troubles over the new Obamacare bill. It's not really Obamacare, but what is it? Obamacare Light. They're already fighting over that. The whole thing is he has to get how many seats is it here? He need 218 seats, and they only got 189 billion left in their fund. Then they're burning through $2 billion a month. I mean, $2 billion a day, and they need these 218 votes are needed in the House. And the Treasury's cash balance will have to last until they get those 218 seats. It might be a lot harder than you think. And what they're doing is they're running down to the wire, down to the line where they'll fall off the cliff. If they fall off that cliff, the whole thing comes to a crash. I mean, the markets, because the markets right now are so pumped up with this irrational exuberance. If they go over this cliff even by one day and they can't pay their bills, there will be a crash like we have never ever seen a crash before. If the U.S. starts to default on its debts, there will be a crash like you have never ever seen a crash before, and it could actually bring the world to a grinding stop. All the markets could actually freeze. I mean, this thing could be absolutely devastating. It could actually, it's got, I'm going to say it, it's got the potential, if the United States were to do something like that, it has the potential because if everything's set up, see, the whole thing is like primed. It's like a powder keg. The whole world's like a powder keg. China, with their ghost cities and in the real estate market in China and they're over debt and how much their stock market and everything's just primed like a powder keg. So is the European Union. Take a look at Italy. Take a look at Spain. Take a look at Portugal. All these countries that are just completely overextended the banking system. It's a powder keg. The United States, $100 trillion worth of unfunded liabilities. It's a powder keg. All of these countries. And what will happen if the United States defaults on their debt? The main savings for everyone is U.S. Treasury bonds. You know? And they think that those are the safest assets there ever were. But they're only as secure as the United States government's ability to pay them. If at that point when them things go off the cliff, if they do go off of a cliff, the United States defaults on the Treasury bonds. At that point, they wouldn't be worth the paper they're written on. And you want to talk about a mass exodus in the gold and silver, if that were to happen, because that all of the wealth that's stored in bonds and in stocks and in everything all around the world would instantly be transferred into a small, tight little market. It would be absolutely ridiculous. It's kind of ridiculous to talk about, but these guys are playing Russian roulette with this. They are quite literally playing Russian roulette. And there's an old saying, if you play with fire, you'll get burnt. And they've been playing with this fire, and they've been getting through every year. And they've been just raising the debt ceiling just in time. But this year, they might run into a fight where they might all get fighting over it and not get nothing done until the thing goes over the cliff. You know? So, it says the Republican Party is already facing a revolt on its right flank over the failure to offer a clean repeal of the Affordable Care Act. Many members of this resistance constitute the ultra-right Freedom Caucus, which is willing to stand its ground during previous debt showdowns. The Freedom Caucus has 29 members, which means there might only be 208 votes to raise the ceiling. Now, he said here that they need 218 votes. And so they would have to get these Democrats to vote. And these Democrats are going to sit back there and they're going to snicker while the Republicans are fighting. The Republicans are going to be going like that, and the Democrats are going to be sitting back there. They're not going to give their votes. They might even want to see Rome burn, the Democrats, before they would give their votes. And how many of the Democratic votes would they need here? It says if he lost, what'd they say? He might have less than 208 votes, and he needs 218. So he's going to have to get, what, a dozen or so of these Democrats to vote for his new bill that he's trying to pass with extra defense spending, and he's going to cut all these Democratic programs and entitlements. They could get really hateful, and they could sit back and just not give him the votes that he needs, and not give the president the votes he needs, and they would sit back and they would smile while Rome burns, and because it all come back on our president, and it's just not a good situation here. Trump, and this might be the revenge that the elites and the globalists have been looking to wield on Trump and hurt Trump. This might be their plan, is to do this, something like this, to corral him in there and cause him a big trouble so that the economy goes hooey. I mean, we've been suspecting this all along, that they're going to pull something, you know. And this might be their plan, to pull something and just bring everything down on him and then blame it all on him. you know. And we've been knowing they've been wanting to do that all along. So this might be it right here. So we don't know what the future holds in this, and I mean this could be really bad. So we have to keep our eye on it. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next article. Bye.